Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Happy Monday. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here a minute, welcome back. Thank you for all your comments on the last video. Today, I'm going to pull questions from your comments. So I'm going to do 10 questions. And yeah, if you don't know, I am the author of The Language of Le Normand or Lenormand. And you can find that wherever books are sold, as they say. If you click the More button under my video, you'll see that um, I have a course that you can purchase that where I have recorded videos that sort of teach you Lenormand at your own pace. The deck that I use, you see the cards on my wall, some of them. The deck that I use is my own. It's called Erica's Lenormand of Hope, and it is available if you also click the button. There's a link for that as well. What else do I want to say? Um, we are a polite society here in general, and I don't get into conversations I don't need to get into with people. So hopefully you bring your best selves to my table. So, okay. Before I talk about the questions or start answering these 10 questions, I just wanted to say a word about what's going on now. I didn't want you to think I'm not aware of what happened Friday with Putin and 47 and what's going on today, which is the fact that, the world knows that whoever is the last person in 47's ear tends to be the one that he listens to. Fortunately, Europe has come to sort of shore up Volodymyr Zelensky in his meeting today at the White House with Trump, and that came about because I think Putin said in the conversations that they had in Alaska on Friday, Putin said something like, "Well, this is about the safety of Europe." So European leaders from all over dropped whatever was on their agendas and flew to DC. So, uh, ideally, they can be the last person in 47's ear. We don't know, who knows where it's going to go. But you all have access to the news just like I do, so there's no need for me to read on that, I don't think. But what I did want to read in relation to the Alaska trip was from a viewer. And the question was, this is number one, why did Carolyn Leavitt, who is the press secretary, that young blonde woman, if you recall, why was she so disturbed when she came out from the Alaska meeting? We know that the meeting did not last long. We know that the intention was to have originally, of course, 47 and Putin were going to talk by themselves with their interpreters. I'm sure that that was each man's preference, but cooler heads, shocking that there are cooler heads, but cooler heads prevailed, and there was a contingent from the US, and their intention was to go in and into the meeting. Uh, what happened? What apparently Steve Witkoff, the guy that has no experience but is Trump's friend and business partner in real estate, who has been sent as an emissary back and forth to Russia, also came out looking a little bit worse for wear. But let's put him to the side. I want to know why was Carolyn Leavitt so, they said she was pale. Her eyes were wide. She was pale and grim. What happened? That's what I'd like to know. So that's what my viewer would like to know. So that's going to be question number one. What happened that Carolyn Leavitt looked so taken aback? Okay. I'm going to use the young woman for Carolyn Leavitt. There are no blondes in my deck, so You'll have to use your imagination. And here she is. I'm always startled when that happens, when the card is the first or the last card. Now, again, because it's the first card in the line that I draw, it's going to be what? The first card, which means I'm going to draw four cards after her in order to make up my line of five. And it also means that whatever the card is in the middle, since it's not this one, that will tell us a lot. Okay, so there she goes as the first card, and I just pull off the top in order. Okay, so we have Carolyn Leavitt, the fox, the scale, the star, and the whip. So, uh, okay, so this is Leavitt. The last card, which is the card I can mirror her with, is the whip. And I suspect that she got a tongue lashing from someone. And I suspect that the only two people who could have given her a tongue lashing to the extent that her eyes widened and her face paled and she looked disturbed when she came out was either her boss, 47, or Vladimir himself. Like they could have said, one of the other of them could have said, "Get out. What are you doing here?" But somebody spoke her harshly to her, because that's what this card is. Somebody spoke harshly to her in a way that she did not anticipate, that really, really took her aback. And I mean, who else could have done that but one of those two men? I mean, I suspect that it was Putin who might have said, she doesn't belong here. That's what I think. Um, Now, the center card is interesting. It's the card that I added to the deck. It's the scale. And so, this is the card for cost benefit analysis, for fairness. I think that it really made her stop and say, wait a minute. If this foreigner on our soil, our Alaskan soil, could treat me like this, yell at me, or speak towards me in a disparaging way, because I do think that's what happened. I'm going to have to really reevaluate what I think is going on here and who I think my boss is. Because my boss did not step in and say, oh, no, no, this is my press secretary. She gets to stay. I don't think that's what happened. So I think she's in a period of reevaluation. And what is she reevaluating? Her future. So let's pull some clarifiers for this. I think somebody spoke to her harshly. It was either 47, who who likes her a lot and doesn't speak to her harshly, or it was Putin. It could have been one or the other of them. And I think it made her say, wait a minute, have I miscalculated? Did I weigh things incorrectly? And I need to think about that in regard to my future. So this is not only the foreigner who may have spoken to her harshly, but this is also Carolyn Leavitt herself being canny and assessing and, not necessarily wanting to tip her hand about this newfound awareness that things are not necessarily the way she was led to believe that they are. So let's pull clarifiers. Okay. Now, again, all of this is allegedly and for entertainment purposes only. So I pulled three clarifiers for each of those original cards. And you know what? I might even pull a final postscript. I won't look at it yet. Oh, wait. Okay. So on Carolyn Leavitt, the clarifiers are meringue, the older woman, and the tree. I really think that she thought, wow, I'm so young and yet I am, I'm really on the come up. I'm the press secretary to the president. Um, I've contracted to be with him and support him until I'm, way older than I am now for a long, long time. Like she's been in it for, you know, what's the word? What's an expression? I don't know, sink or swim. She was in for him, in for a penny, in for a pound. She had found her lord and master, and it was you know who. But this foreigner, I think it might have been Putin, who just kind of was like, "Who is this?" Made her feel like 2 cents child. Made her feel diminished. Like probably said, "Get out." Um, This is the card for reputation and image, and hers was damaged. She wasn't treated with the respect that I think that she thought she was due, and it happened for everyone to see. Now, when I say everyone, obviously we, the public, didn't see it, but whoever else was in that room saw it. Rubio, for example, saw it. Witkoff, for example, saw it. Susie Weil, for example, saw it. So I think she was embarrassed by a foreigner and made to feel small, um, which has caused her to do this cost benefit analysis because she thought she was sitting pretty, right? She was calm, she was poised, she was confident, but now there's been a roadblock thrown up between her and you know this person that she has idolized and idealized. Again, this old man, because this is also the card for the old man, this old man did not come to her rescue. He did not say, "Don't talk to her like that. That's my press secretary. What are you doing?" He didn't do that. I think that also she's doing a cost benefit analysis because he seemed old and doddering. 47, I'm talking about, because this is the card also, one more meaning, for the old man. I think she saw him in a diminished capacity, that Putin was in charge of that meeting from soup to nuts, even though they didn't eat. That's how short it lasted. They had dinner all planned, but nobody stayed to eat. I think she saw him as a doddering old man, and that made her say, "Wait, hold on. Maybe I need to pause at the foot of this mountain. There's a mountain there, and I didn't see it before. I was all gaga-eyed about him, but he didn't do right by me, so I don't know." All right. She is looking towards her future. The clarifiers are clover, key, and dog. So she will cast about looking for who her next benefactor will be, I suspect. That's what I think. I don't think that Carolyn Leavitt will be there for the long haul. I think she's looking for a new benefactor. And it's because this tongue lashing or dressing down or throwing out or embarrassing, whatever it was that happened to her, really got to her. Mice is the card for worry, anxiety, fear, even fear. Um, and we have the tower, and this is the White House. So I think she felt um, alone because 47 didn't champion her. He didn't correct uh, Putin or Putin's aides or whoever it was that was mean to Caroline. She felt like, like like she was all alone, isolated. And so she's really rethinking her place in the White House. This is our first card. I can mirror it with our last card. She's really rethinking her role in the White House. Does she want to stay there? Now, I pulled a final three. I don't know if I should or shouldn't have, but I felt called to, so I did. And whenever I pull that postscript, think of it as sort of, are there any last words I want to say about this particular topic? And the cards are Crossroads, Bouquet, and Ryder. Yeah, I think she will be making other choices. I think she will be looking for other positions that will reward her for her, what, 7 months of service as the press secretary. She believes she'll be rewarded. And the Ryder news coming in, she may very well have made some noise in the right places saying, listen, I'm available. If somebody makes me an offer, I can't refuse. I think that's how shaken she was. And again, why was she so shaken? Because I think she got a dressing down. And I think the dressing down was at the hands of a Russian. And I think 47 just let it happen. I don't think he stopped it because he is in Putin's thrall, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only, as they say. All right, so that was question one. That was kind of a long answer, and I didn't mean for it to be as long, but kind of interesting, right? We may never know the real answer to this, but I think that's pretty accurate. It feels right. And the postscript confirms that she's looking elsewhere. She doesn't want to be a sinking ship. She does on a sinking ship, nor does she appreciate being humiliated in that way in front of colleagues. Okay, the next question was, will 47 take a more widespread violent turn against the citizenry in the next? And the person who asked the question asked me about the next 4 months. I'd rather look at the next 3 months, just because. And I think we already know the answer to that, right? Why else are governors sending even more National Guard troops to, for example, DC? We know that DC is just the proving ground for the larger, it's for the experiment, right? For the larger plan, which is to militarize every major city. I mean, this is the Nazi playbook. So will he take a more widespread violent turn against the citizenry? He already is. But let's look at the next 3 months. And what we'll do is we'll use the card for 47. Um, I am going to take a deep dive look at him and his health, um, but not today. I think I'll do it. I think tomorrow would be good. Why is my earring doing this? Hold on. Yeah, my earring was turned the wrong way. Okay. Will 47, how will he be in the next 3 months in regard to the citizenry? Will he be more violent towards us in a more sort of whole scale way? Okay, so we're going to look for him in the deck and see if there are any sort of violence related cards around him. So I'm using the older man for him. Okay, so this will stand for 47. Taking the two cards that came before him and the two cards that came after him. So I am going to pull a couple of clarifiers, but even though I don't see cards that are what I would call violent, um, the question still is answered the same way. So we have the moon, we have the anchor, we have him, we have the key, and we have the crossroads. So I'm going to pull cards certainly on the crossroads, but remember, he is going to want to um, sort of cement his position, right? This is the card for reputation. He wants to be a strong man. So he will want to anchor himself in that position. Then he's in the middle. The anchor and the key are mirror each other. So the anchor also is sort of pushing down on the population, holding people down from protesting, for example. Um, he sees that that is critical to his survival. Again, he's taking from the Nazi playbook, allegedly. And then we have crossroads. I can mirror that with this moon. I think he will try lots of different tactics. Um, but that's what I want to pull on and just see, well, like what? Okay. So, what kind of tactics will he use? I think that, he has various tactics. Just listen to the news and you can figure out what they are. But I think he's in this for the long game. Um, and right now it's about sowing confusion among people. Disinformation. So that would be another technique. Yes, militarizing more areas of the country. He wants to make us worried and uneasy because then he can say, I alone can fix it. He loves to say that. This is a long game meant for the future. And by the way, I suspect that he thinks he can do another term. Because, why do I say that? Because I can mirror a card about the future with his reputation. I think he thinks it'll be a Trumpian next 4 years or a Trumpian dynasty. We know he's delusional, but that's what he thinks. So will he be more violent? Let's pull cards on him. Well, I said I was going to look at his health tomorrow, but I guess here's a preview because the clarifiers are the book, the coffin, and the heart. So here he is. We're looking at the next 3 months. What he doesn't know is this is coronary. Sometimes the heart card is love, but sometimes the heart card is the anatomical heart. And I don't need to explain this card to you. It's a coffin. Many, many of us have predicted some sort of catastrophic event coming for him. Um, every day that we go forward is another day closer to everybody's foot in the proverbial coffin, but particularly his. So I suspect, and it might have been why I sensed that I didn't want to look at 4 months ahead, but that I would only look at 3 months ahead. I think we'll look at this tomorrow in some depth, but I think he will be thwarted in his attempt to crack down as violently as he would like to on us, and that his own body will betray him. Okay. Uh, Number three, will we have Vance as president until 2028 once 47 is jettisoned, however that happens? Now, I mean, do I really need to read on that? I'm going to say that I don't, and here's why. Let's use our common sense. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember, uh, I guess it was Romper Room. And the lady used to say, put on your thinking caps. And my mother would say that to us. In fact, she made us little hats. And we would put on our thinking caps. So I'm asking you, put on your thinking caps. If you put on your thinking caps, you know that the order of succession, should something happen to the president, is that the vice president ascends to the presidency. So will we have him until 28? Well, yes. The better question, which I'm actually not going to look at today, though, is um, will we have him in 28 and beyond? But I think let some other things play out first. But, again, common sense is what's answering question number three. Will we have Vance until 28 if 47 is unable to uh, maintain his office? Yes, because that's how the Constitution works. It will be Vance. All right. The fourth question, will California win its suits against 47's overreach? And I'm going to say that feels like something of a really sort of a broad question because, there is winning battles and losing wars. There's winning wars and losing battles too. So, what will the court decide about California and 47's attempt to militarize and bully LA? Um, let's Spirit pick all the cards. Will California win the day? I don't love yes, no cards, but I mean yes, no questions. But what will happen, I guess, is what I'm asking in that dispute between California and 47. And I'll pull five cards. We have the bear, the coffin, the moon, the clouds, and 47. I think he will lose. I think California will win in the end. Call me Pollyanna, and I'm just a card reader, right? But I think he will lose. This is him in his narcissistic, suit, coffin. This could be literal. Uh, the moon, what he wants and how he has decided things are going to be is in doubt. And then there he is at the end. He is Alpha and Omega here. This is his two, bookends. This is him, and this is also him. But in between are these cards, and I don't think it bodes well for him. For him. Now, again, that what I think I'm talking about is lower court stuff. What happens when it gets to the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court, who has given him, sort of unfathomably huge powers. But I don't know that he'll be around to enjoy any kind of Supreme Court victory that could be handed to him. So we're just going to leave that alone. Okay. So now we're at number five. Someone asked me about Chris Small and whether he's been released from Israeli custody. Yes, of course, he's been released from Israeli custody. You can find that out on the news. Um, he is the activist, the guy who has done really good work trying to help Amazon workers to unionize. And so, of course, the big business people can't stand him. He's a black young guy in his 30s, I think. And he was on that flotilla that was it was the flotilla that it's a series of operations. So the first one had people like Greta Thunberg on there. Then Chris Smalls was on the second one, and he wasn't just turned back, he was imprisoned and beaten. And by the way, he was the only one imprisoned and beaten because the Israelis, they don't just hate Gazans, they hate blacks. Ask the black Jews who live there. Just saying. Anyway, uh, Chris Smalls has long since come back to the US, has told his story about his capture and the abuse that he suffered at the hands of the IDF the Israeli defense people, the army. And his next move, I know there's another flotilla that's going out again, a bigger one this time. I have not heard any word that he's going to be on it. I know Greta Thunberg will be on that one as well. But I do know that Chris Small's next move is that he is heading up or encouraging, supporting something that's happening on the 23rd of September, which is the March on the UN General Assembly on behalf of Gaza. So the UN General Assembly, of course, that's in New York, and there's going to be this big, huge protest. He will be, or one of the organizers of that. Um, Perhaps a safer bet, I don't know, than going to sea and getting captured by Israel. I don't know, because given that we live in a police state, you know, this could be a dangerous thing for him to do too. But he is on US soil and safe. Uh, the next question. The next question, this is number 6, I think. Does Spirit know who our next president is? The short answer is yes. But really, what the reader is asking me, the viewer, sorry, is asking me is, so, Erica, who will that be? We, there's many a slip, the expression goes, many a slip twixt the cup and the lip, which is to say that there's a lot that can happen between now and when the next president takes office. And free will is a thing. And so, I know that it will not be Kamala Harris. I have had people, I said that in my last video. Of course, I've said it several times before, but I had people saying that they were going to unsubscribe because I said that. Be my guest. That's okay. I tell you what I see, not what I think you want to hear. And sometimes it's one and the same, but sometimes it's not. And this is one of those times. I don't know who the next president will be. Spirit knows, yes. Spirit's not going to tell me, but when we get closer to the time, when we have two candidates, I will do what I did and I will look at that again, but not now. Okay. The seventh question asked me about swing states and whether they are actually more purple than we are being led to believe. And then the person also asked the same question about Texas and Florida. Um, I guess so. I'm gonna, I mean, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but it's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to sort of package all of that into one question, which is this. Um, is the country less red, which is to say more purple than we have currently been led to believe? Now, of course, if it's less red, more purple, you know, think about the what you know about color. The real question that I'm asking is it more blue, right? Is it more blue than we think? But for the sake of argument, let's not what is it? Shoot over our skis. Let's not go over our skis yet. Let's just ask the question the way the viewer asked. I think it was a good way of asking it. Is the country more purple than we're being led to believe that it is? And I'll let Spirit answer pick all the cards. Is the country, which is to say the swing states and Texas and Florida, actually more purple than we think? I'm going to say, well, I'll tell you the cards first. We have the book, the child, the house, the anchor, and the woman. I'm going to say this. Every day that passes, when people go to the store and see what things cost, every day that passes when buildings aren't being built, crops aren't being picked, children's parents are being arrested when they go to get their kidnapped when they go pick up their children at school. Uh, Healthcare sucks, and no vaccines are in sight. When natural disasters take us over in ways large and small, people are coming to realize what a bad idea this guy was. And I think we're not even aware of all of these new people who are saying, not so sure about having picked this guy in the White House. Maybe we would have been better off, safer, more secure had Harris been elected. So I'm going to say yes. And again, this might strike you as being very Pollyanna. That's fine. I think yes. I think that we are more purple than we've been led to believe. And the truth of that will be in the 2026 midterms, right? And the truth of that will be the people in the streets as 47's attempt to create a police state increases. Okay, number 8. Somebody asked me about Wes Moore. He is the very impressive Maryland governor, black man, um, who has, not in the trolling way that Newsom has, but in a more um, genteel, polite, um, measured way, said to 47, "You're not coming for our National Guard. We're not going anywhere, and you're not militarizing my state." So he, in his way, is also putting up resistance against 47. And I'm gathering, well, this viewer said they live in Maryland and they like their governor. And what they're asking me about is his political future. So he's pretty young, so we're going to use the young man for him. And we're looking at the political future of Maryland Governor Wes Moore. So we have the ship, the dog. This is Governor Moore from Maryland. We have the ring and we have the bouquet. So I'm going to just give a short answer and say that, he is his ship has wind in its sails. I can mirror this ship with the bouquet. I think he will be rewarded for his tenure as governor of the state. So I do think he has quite the bright political future on a national stage. I think that there are people in high places watching him, friends in high places watching him, who will commit to him and helping him move his political fortunes um, forward. So I think he has quite the bright future. Okay. Um, then the penultimate question, which means penultimate means next to the last question. So question number 9, will redistricting of the blue states move us towards true democracy? What I want to say about this question is that It reminds me a little bit of, you know, when you read a book and it's really exciting and it might even be scary. And so what you want to do is just like skip to the end and find out, get to the page where it says, uh, and they lived happily ever after the end. That's what this question feels like to me. Um, and again, let me remind you, there is many a slip twixt the cup and the lip. Well, what does that mean? Let's say that this is the lip. I mean, this is the cup, and this is my lip, and I'm going to drink it. I'm not drinking it because it's a candle, but let's just say, and I were drinking it. There are many opportunities for me to move this cup from where it is to my mouth, many opportunities for me to spill. So once this cup did get all the way to my lip and the contents get in my mouth, that's the they lived happily ever after the end part. We have a long way to go before we're there. Redistricting is not going to be the panacea that you would like to think that it is. In fact, it could be speaking of the candle, it could be the flame that lights the fuse that sets off the powder keg for a hot civil war. Now, does that mean as a result of a hot civil war, which is, more than the cold civil war we're in the middle of now, does that mean that at the end of that civil war, we will move towards true democracy? Well, as my mother would say, God willing and the creek don't rise, meaning, I hope so. But the redistricting itself will not effect true democracy. So I'm going to rephrase the question. Will the blue states redistricting move be a step on the road to eventually us having a more perfect union, a democracy, which we've never really actually had? So let's look. I think I'm going to use a card as a focus card as the significator. I think I'm going to use the crossroads because think about it, crossroads is about redistricting, right? You're moving boundaries around. So we'll use that. Will the blue redistricting maps move us a step closer towards our more perfect union that we've heard tell about? Okay. All right. So, oh, and once again, I'm surprised. It wasn't the first card. I didn't even have time to turn the first card over. I always check the bottom of the deck to see if the card that I'm looking for is there, and there it is. That means since it's the last card, when I draw the line, it's going to be what? The last card. So here we go. I'm going to turn the deck face up. It's the last card, and then I'm putting the other cards down. So we have the stork, the fox, the tower, you know who, and crossroads. This is the blue states redistricting. Again, to counter Texas, right? Um, I love that we see the stork at the beginning of the line because the stork is about positive change. So the short answer is yes. This will be a very good step towards, in the end, our more perfect union. Now, you can't go redistrict every 2 minutes. I mean, as it is, we do it every what? I think we do it every decade. So now what are we going to do it every 2 years? This is not something that the blue states are thrilled to do or anxious to do, but it is that sort of fire fighting fire step that they need to take. So it will be positive change will result from that redistricting. And why? Because it outsmarts him and Abbott. We are the fox outsmarting them. And then here we have government right in the center. And I think I'll pull a clarifier because it's great to have that stork there. And I do feel optimistic, but let's just see what kind of card we get when we look at government, meaning the tower. Yes, kind of what I said. I love the cards. Huh. So this is, this is our government. This is that more perfect union that we want to hurry up and, get to the back of the book and find the they lived happily ever after. But many a slip twixt the cup and the lip. Before we have that more perfect union, there will be pain and trouble and ugliness and difficulty. So, gird your loins, put those big girl, big boy pants on. We are not through this by any stretch of the imagination. And, uh, so this was the card, this is the, government. The cards that I pulled are the bouquet, the snake, and the book. This is that reward, that more perfect union. This is the trouble that it will take to get there. And then we have the book as the final clarifier. It has yet to be decided whether we are willing to go through the trouble to get to the reward. Each of us will have to decide that for ourselves. I think it's worth it. That's why I do this work. I hope that you think it's worth it too. There will be no quick, fast, and in a hurry, uh, easy, good, happy resolution. We have to go through this to get to this. Okay. And I think I have one more. Okay. Um, so this is the last question. I just kind of went down the list and looked at questions that I thought my cards could answer. This one, it would have been, fine to end on that ninth uh, question because, but I did have 10, so here's the 10th. The question was, will the Democrats move towards a more progressive agenda, or will they stick to their heretofore preferred uh, corporate Democratic agenda? Will the old guard move out the way and make some room for these younger, fired up, energetic, progressive politicians? Or will it be, SOP, standard operating procedure? I mean, you can look at the way that the corporate Democratic agenda seems to have dictated that um, Democrats in New York try to tear down the actual elected candidate by the Democrats for the mayoralty, which is who is Zoran Mamdani. You have seen all kinds of rank and file Democrats trying to tear him down because he's a progressive. And they've been racist about it. They've been ageist about it. They've been really ugly about it. Um, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's very hard to pry power, the reins of power, from these cold, half dead hands of some of these politicians. So, will the Democratic Party writ large move towards a more progressive agenda? Or will it be business as usual? I'll let Spirit pull all the cards. So you remember the previous spread that I just did about the more perfect union? I mean, and the last card in the clarifiers when I drew down from the tower was the book. You know, people talk a good game, but when it means ceding the reins of power to somebody else, so we have the anchor, the fish, center card is the snake, the mice, and the scythe. Here's what I think. I think that the Democratic Party elite is anchored to their um, their love of money. This is the card for money. And this weighs them down and prevents them from being willing to move aside. This is the center card. That's a problem. That's a problem. The last two cards are mice and scythe. And I think what's going to happen is that those who are in that power elite are going to have to be pushed out. They're kind of like cornered rats themselves, right? They want to hold on to power. But I think that the progressive wing, not just the progressive wing of the party, but I think people, citizens who are sick of giving money to candidates that aren't doing anything, you know, I mean, even standing up for 25 hours and giving a speech, that's insufficient to our needs. That's not progressive. Sorry. I think that this anchor, remember I said they're anchored to money, the money that they get from wielding power will have to be cut. And I think that the people who will be doing it will be the progressives whom the people elect. So, will they give up that power willingly? They will not. Will it be wrested from them? Yeah, it will. Will that be fun? And will it happen quick, fast, and in a hurry? It will not. So get your beauty sleep, hydrate, eat well, preferably vegetarian, because, we have a long road ahead. But thank you for being here with me. You all lift me up like I try to do you. I know I don't always tell you what you want to hear, but I tell you what the cards are showing me, and I hope that's enough. So I will be back. What's today? Not tomorrow. Wednesday, I will be back. And I think what I'll do Wednesday is do a deep dive on 47's next 3 months. I want to look at his health and welfare. So until then, I wish you a good rest of Monday and a terrific Tuesday, and I'll see you again on Wednesday. Take care.